Hi, everyone. So welcome to this AI training. Um, so a couple things before we start. Feel free to ask questions. Just make sure the questions are on topic because we're recording this to watch in the future. So I want to stay on topic as much as possible. A couple things to be aware of up front. I'm going to put the link to this page in here. It's part of the tutorials on the CMS website. So it's available there if you need to find it in the future. So this page has some information, some prompt examples that we're going to talk about. Also, there are some AIs I will be using today. ChatGPT is one, Google Bard is the other. So Google Bard is fairly experimental. ChatGPT works a little better in some instances. Also, to sign up for Google Bard, you will need to use a personal Gmail address. You can't do it with an ISU email address. Okay, so one thing, as we go through this, and I'll show you some examples, be aware that output from an AI should be a start point for you and not an end point. AIs do have what's called AI hallucination. So even though they have access to correct information, they will sometimes choose to make up lies. It's a weird behavior that is not really understood, but it's something that they do. So you want to carefully read what an AI comes up with to make sure that it isn't full of lies. Okay, so first, I want to talk about page titles and page descriptions. So AIs can be very helpful with these two things, and it's something that we are really lacking on, particularly page descriptions. I would say the majority of pages on the ISU website do not have descriptions, and they are very useful. So if I were to do a search, let me just show you where these come into play. Say I want to get information about visiting. So you can see here in the search results, this is the page title, and this is the page description. So a page description will only show here if it is 155 characters long. So if it's shorter than that, it won't show here by default. But the advantage to being able to have this is that you can control what people will see in search results. So if you write a page description that's at least 155 characters long, you can also have it be kind of a marketing statement. So you can say, come and do this. You can have an action. You can do all sorts of things with it, but it allows you to control what people will see in the search engine. And that's true also of the page title. It will control what people will see. So it's good to think about what your page title and your page description are because it does weigh heavily in search results and what search engines decide to do. So some tips for writing those. You can tell it to write a 160 character meta description and give it a URL. You can do the same thing with a page title. And now sometimes I tell it to write a 35 character page title because all of our page titles, and that is what shows up here in the tab, have a pipe and Idaho State University added to them automatically, and that's 25 characters long. So if you write a page title that's 35 characters long, it will be 60 altogether. It can be longer than that. That's perfectly fine. You will not be penalized for a longer page title. It just won't show the whole page title in the search results if it's over the 60 characters. Okay, so let's make one. Let's say I want a meta description. So I'm going to show you in the two different search engines. I just copy that prompt, paste it in, then I've got to give it a URL. Does anyone want to be a guinea pig? Maybe do your website? And then we can see what it comes up with. NSO, okay, let's do NSO. Get the URL. You do need to put in the full URL, just to be clear. So I'll do that in Bard and ChatGPT. Oh, I didn't copy it right. Sorry. Should have copied that whole thing. Okay, so I'm gonna think, it's gonna write some stuff out. So here's one. It's Discover Idaho State University's new student orientation program, get acquainted with campus resources, prepare for a successful college journey. So Bard also has one. Bard will give you 3 drafts every time you ask it to do something. And it will often, when it's something that's SEO related, it will give you some SEO information also. I mean, it was built by people who made a search engine, so it's pretty handy for search engine related things. The one thing Bard cannot do is count characters. So this I can guarantee is not 160 characters, which is why when I do this kind of stuff, I use, where's my thing? A character counter. So there are tons of these online. This is just character count online, but you can paste that in. It's 273 characters. So you do have to do some editing, which I recommend anyway. Like I mentioned, this should be a start point, but you may like some of the wording that Bard comes up with. And there are also things you can do. You can shorten Idaho State University to ISU, tweak the wording on this to get something that you want. But I think having this is very handy because these page descriptions are actually pretty difficult to write. And if you just stare at your page and try to get an idea of what it should say, it will take a very long time to write page descriptions. But doing this gives you at least something that you can go on and something that's usually pretty well written. So you can also do more than one at a time, at least for page title and page description. So I have a prompt here that is asking for a description and a title. And because we include Idaho State University automatically in every page title, I've asked it not to do that. It sometimes listens and sometimes does not. So let's put that prompt in. Anyone else want to do their website? No. Okay. Clinics. I got a lot of people now. Okay, now I got a list. Cool. Let's do the clinics one. Copy this and do it in both. And it'll be thinking, come up with some stuff. All right. So there's a page title, a meta description. Same thing here. Explore Idaho State University's diverse clinics. So you can see it knows that meta descriptions should have a call to action of some sort or be something that makes it sound interesting. The point of writing a page description is if people are going to see it on a search engine, you want to write something that's going to make them want to click on it. So these AIs are actually pretty good at doing that. It's all very fascinating and a little terrifying the more you use these and realize what they're capable of doing. Okay, so there's some, and we could check these other drafts and see what it says in here. So in this case, it's also giving you a breakdown of why it did what it did for that meta description. So Google Bard especially can be kind of educational. It still does super weird things, but it can be educational. Okay, so let's try this for a different website. Whenever you put in a prompt in an AI, you can always edit the prompt and run it again. So what was another request? Dean of Students. I don't know the URL for that. Let's do HPAC real quick. And then just I update it. I can do the same over here. There's an edit button. Let's do that whole thing. Just gonna write it out again. ChatGPT does sometimes take a while to think. I actually don't know what it's doing right now. Okay, there it goes. I thought I was stuck maybe. Okay, so we have some more options. So what I like to do sometimes is I'll mix and match these. So maybe I like one sentence that ChatGPT wrote, but not the other. And I'll go to Bard and say, I do like this one, but maybe not the rest of it. And I'll mix and match these, do that in the character counter until I'm at least to 155 characters. That is the golden number. Once you hit 155, then search engines will display it in their search results. Okay, so just an example of other search results here. So you can see, for instance, this page title is longer than the 60 characters, so it just truncates it. It does that with a lot of different things. So like I said, if you go over, that's okay. It just won't show the whole thing. But this way you can kind of carefully curate what's going to happen and what people will see in their results. Okay, any questions about that? Makes sense? You can also come in here and maybe change a few things with these queries. One thing you can do is add some keywords that maybe you want to appear for search reasons. And if you're maybe not sure what keywords you want, AIs can also help you with that. So there's a couple of these prompts that I've used in the past. Also, there's way more here. I've added some links here on the side of the page. And these have a lot of different prompts. Some of them are probably kind of useless, and others may give you some ideas of what's even possible with these. Okay, so let's try this one. I'm asking for high volume, low difficulty keywords. So what this is going to do is find out what kinds of things that people are searching for. So let's say I want 8 keywords. And let me see who else has put something in for, let's do academic affairs. So I'm not going to put a URL in here, but I am going to try just a topic. So let's say academic affairs at a university, just to be clear. Am I spelling university right? University. So AIs are trained on a lot of language models, so they understand a lot of different kinds of speech. You can say a ton of different things to them and they'll understand what you're asking for. So this has given me a list of things that I think would be good keywords for those different areas and what kind of words that people are searching for. So a lot of times the word academic is going to appear, or university, and you can take those out. You could even ask the AI to take those out. Just input the list again and say, take out the word academic, and it would do that. So it's given me some different options. This is where Bard is maybe a little better than ChatGPT since it is connected to the live internet. It's good at coming up with these kinds of keywords. So you could look at all these and decide, is that something that people are searching for that I want them to find? And if so, you can incorporate them. Ask an AI to put that into your description. You should also use it in the content of your page. So also you could ask for long tail SEO keywords. So these are more like phrases. And sometimes those are a bit more helpful because they give you more context. So I can put that prompt in. Let's just do 8 again. And this time, let's say health sciences. So university, health sciences. And you can be as specific as you want, or as vague as you want with these. It's always worth trying different prompts just to see what the result is, because a lot of your results are based on what prompts you put in. All right, so we've got degree programs, faculty experts, faculty over here. A lot of these are going to overlap, careers in the health sciences. So these are phrases that are appearing probably in search queries. And so it's telling you, these are pretty good ones, add those in. Okay. Then, what am I looking at here? I got too many tabs and browser windows open. So you could also just ask for some topics and phrases that people commonly use. So I could say, whatever topic, let's use that Dean of Students one. I went to Dean of Students, that's 2 words. And I can ask for, let's ask for 10 broad topics that are relevant to search queries about Dean of Students. And to see if there are search queries about that. I don't know if I've ever searched that. I'm curious to see what it comes up with. Oh, I shouldn't have asked for 10 on this. I forgot what I was doing. This is going to go on forever. But I could go back in and say, you know what, I don't want 10. Just give me 4. And it'll spit that back out. But 10 will give you a lot of information. Okay, so it looks like it's thinking Dean of Students, people are going to be looking for advising, student conduct, student life, and student success, and then gives subtopics for each of those areas. So that can help you too if you maybe are not sure what to put on your pages and you want some ideas. I'll show you a bit more about how that can work later. Okay. So that's our SEO. And I've had here also to add keywords to it. You can paste and copy that into whatever you want. But this is super helpful. The other day I did probably like 36 page descriptions in about an hour and a half, which does seem like a long time, but had I tried to do it all by myself, it would have been like 6 days. So this is very good for giving ideas, for brainstorming, and giving you some language that you can use in those page descriptions or in your page titles, because those are also important for your search results and for how it categorizes things. All right. So now let's talk a little about content and some things you can do if you want to come up with content. So one thing that comes up, I'll talk about this in content training when I do it, is that sometimes we have huge, long, kind of rambly content, and maybe we want to shorten it up. So we could ask an AI to rephrase some text that we put in at different levels of comprehension. So I could say, do this for a high school student. So I'll paste that in, and then I have a text over here that is all about graduate assistantships. You just replace that with that text and run it. Let's copy all that. Run it through there. Put it here in chat GPT also. So, and you can also ask it, I didn't ask, but it put it in bullet points, I think to make it a little easier to process. You can see ChatGPT is doing it in paragraphs. In other drafts, it's done it different ways. Here, we have some headings with paragraphs. So it can really help you kind of break things up, simplify things, shorten them up. So you could also tell it, I know I have an example in here of summarizing this using bullet points. You could tell it a number of bullet points that you want. You could also ask it to summarize it and with a certain number of words. Say you just want 200 words for all of this, it can shorten it down. But just make sure, like I said, to read it and make sure that it actually makes sense and is what you want to put out. So you can also have AIs play make-believe. So you can tell it to pretend to be a marketing professional. And then just put in a topic that you want it to write about. You have any more suggestions? Got navigate. I'm not sure it's going to know what navigate is. So let's say for a university nursing webpage. And you obviously you can put in more stipulations that maybe you want it to be a certain length, or you want it to cover certain things. But it just kind of goes through all the information that it has access to, and it will create something based on information that it has. So, right, there's a call to action, learn more about, and it knows now, I've talked about ISU enough that it knows I'm at ISU. So sometimes it just puts things in. It had some stuff about Benny the Bengal once. It's a little creepy how well it figures things out like that. Okay, so it even made up a testimonial for you, which seems slightly unethical, but that's probably not a bad testimonial. Also gave you some keywords, benefits. Here you have a list of things that you could put on a nursing page. And so very generic information, but if you are just at a starting point with something, it can help brainstorm all sorts of good ideas. Now you can give it a specific information, a specific situation. So when I do content training, I talk about the scenario where we're going to write content for convincing people to ride their bikes. So I'm putting that prompt in, and I'm going to see what it comes up with. So it's giving me some tips. So here it's saying convenient, time saving, health and fitness benefits, cost effective. So those are all points you could bring up. I could also tell it to write an email, and it would write this in an email format for me. Okay. So that can give you ideas. If you have a specific situation, you can write out a specific situation. So in this, I told it to act as a marketing professional, and then explained the situation and told it that the target audience is university students. Okay. So you could do that sort of thing by saying, I want to focus on high school students or university students or people within a certain major, and it can come up with some information that may be relevant more to that group than to another group, perhaps. So that's one way. You can also get an AI to write you an outline. If you have topics that you want it to cover. So a few things you can do. You could use a keyword phrase. So let's say pharmacy programs. And then for high school students. Then you could choose what tone you want the content to have. Maybe you want it to be friendly and persuasive. You can put all sorts of descriptors in here, optimistic, whatever. And let's say you want this outline to have a certain number of headings. Let's say 3. Oh, I should have copied that, put it in the other one. Okay, so we can say, what is a pharmacy? Why study pharmacy? How to become a pharmacist? Give some information. Similar thing here. Pursuing a pharmacy program, a pathway to a pharmacy program. And you can run these again, open this up here, maybe change some variables, get some different information. No, that's weird. Or check out also the multiple drafts that are in here. But if you have an idea for a page, maybe you're not sure what to write, this can give you some content that can be helpful. You can also tell it, like I said, to write as a marketing professional. I've done that on a couple pages that didn't have a lot of content. You need to have several sentences on your pages to help search engines figure out what your page is about. And if you don't have that kind of content, it can be helpful to say, I need content for a page with this content. Maybe you could give it the URL, that you need some introductory message. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to make writing a little faster, to help you organize some things a little better, or whatever you need to do on your pages. Any questions so far? No? Okay. A couple bonus things I want to show you, which you may or may not use, but I think are handy in certain situations. So there is a plugin for Chrome. I'll put a link here in the chat. It's a plugin that is a YouTube summarizer, is what it's called. And when it's in your browser, it shows up here by the video. So this is the video of the Dubbot training I did last year. So what this does, if I open this up, it will show me a transcript. Now, it doesn't have any punctuation or anything, so it's a little stream of consciousness, but it does do it by timestamp. So that's kind of handy. It will also follow the timestamp. So the video is here on 4:09, and if I hit this to jump to current time, it'll go to that time. So you could read this as you're watching the video if you're someone who really likes that kind of subtitle. Also, you could copy it all and have the text as a transcript. Or if you click the AI summary button, it'll open up ChatGPT, pop that information in, and give you a 5 bullet point summary of the YouTube video. So if you do have videos, I thought of doing this with some of my training videos to see if it can pick up what the main points are, if I'm good at communicating that at all. You could also change the bullet points. If it's a really long video, you could ask for 10 or whatever number that you want to get. Another thing that could come in handy is a summarizer for a web page. This is also a plugin. Let me also get that link if you are interested in this one. So it's just up here. I've got it visible. And if I click it, it will summarize the content of the page that I'm on. So it'll usually do that, a couple bullet points of what it thinks the main things are. So that could also maybe help you do some evaluation on your pages. Am I communicating my main points the way that I want to? Can an AI tell that these are the main points? So if it can, that's probably a good sign that you've written it in a way that makes sense. Okay. So I don't have that much more to show you. This page will be there. It's on the CMS website under the tutorials. So it's under search engine optimization. It's also under content, where you could just filter maybe for prompt, and that would get it out. That's what that page is. I'll probably be adding some more things to this page, some more prompt ideas, maybe some more resources that are available. Oh, good point. Let me show you, if you are in T4 and you want to add your page description or page title, That is here under the General tab. So, and this is where, like I said, most pages do not have descriptions. Even the page in Terminal 4 on the CMS site about page descriptions does not have a page description yet. I'm still working through all of these, but this is where you put them in. It does do character counting on here, so you don't go too far over. Also remember, if you don't fill out this page title field, it will use the name field as the default. Okay. Also, if you come up with some really good prompts, let me know. I could add those to our page here, or if you find some good resources. And these links to the side also have many good prompts if you want to explore more options about what you can put into an AI, what it might give you back. Also be aware, AIs are evolving rapidly, and everything I just told you could be a lie in about 6 months. They may be running differently by then. But I think especially for the page titles and descriptions, I wanted to show everybody this as a way to write them faster, because it is an issue university-wide in our search engine results, is that we're lacking these page titles. All right, good. I see people are already using it. Nice. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I don't have much more to cover with you today. ADA considerations. I haven't used AI too much to do that. You may be able to ask it specific questions about why something may not match ADA rules. I don't know how well it could create content. I haven't found anything, for instance, that will write image descriptions, image alt text, which would be very handy, but I have not found that yet. Any other questions? That would be fun. Okay. Then we'll see you in the future, and hopefully this was helpful.